Welcome to One More Today. I'm Sophia, pilot in GD University of Chinese. Let's continue exploring ocean/industrial age concepts. And today's expression is 义务. Well, this expression, 义务, the way when I grew up in China, the most frequent context that I heard this expression is 9年制义务教育, 9-year rule, 义务, this moral business, 教育, education. So it talks about public education provided in China as an obligation of the government to provide this public education as a service to the whole society. And that's a 9 年, 9 years. So basically up to before high school, that's the government provide you education. So that's the context of the 义务. So it's kind of an obligation from the government. It's almost like a contract between the society and the government. It's guaranteed as the right to education. So how it was expressed, we have 义 and 务, 义. It means moral. We unpacked this character before. It's made of two parts. The lamb on the top and the concept me at the bottom. And you can see simplified and traditional. Traditional looks a lot more like 2000 years ago's dictionary. So that's kind of on the same lineage. And until 1958, when mainland China decided that we need more people to be literate and traditional Chinese simply to be more inaccessible. And I can understand, but it's pros and cons. Pros, you got more people literate, you raise the literacy level quickly because it's kind of like a shortcut. Imagine learning this versus this, right? But at the same time, we lose the direct contact with where the originally character came from. And when it becomes this, it becomes more abstract. You don't have the whole lineage of how the language evolved until today. And that's also part of the reason why I started this channel as my study note to dig a little bit further back before I was born. When, like, I don't know, my ancestors, if they had the fortune to learn Chinese, how things would look like and to make sense today, the language I was born into, how it makes sense, right? Okay, this moral made of lamb on the top, and you can see it's a Chinese abstraction of this physical observable object in our physical world, lamb, by capturing its horns with this shape and 3 rows of horizontal, like a gravity defining horizontally growing fluffy furs of the lamb. Because I guess lamb, besides the meat, the fur is one other major, made into wool. That's the major contribution of that animal to us humans. And lamb in Chinese also, I guess way back when, in prehistoric context, that lamb was used as the animal sacrifice. So it represents the best type of meat. And that's when we try to attribute or to negotiate with divinity to give us favorable terms, meaning weather conditions. Let's have another harvest year. We would use lamb meat. So lamb represents the best quality that humans can offer. And then the bottom is a double spear. So it's a daggered spear. You see many edges, pointy edges over there. It's due to abstraction. It became this shape, but originally it was like a long staff with a very far top attached to a metal piece. And that metal piece eventually, originally it was like a triangle shape, but eventually it got broken down. So it looks like disconnected. But that was like over time, people eventually write things like that. Probably things get lost through history, through hand copying. So double spear. Why? Because this is from the ruler's point of view. What's considered a me or I is a useful member of society for the ruler. That is, you can defend your country or your regime that or your tribe. You can go use double sword or spear to defend in wartime. So it's almost like, I guess in ancient times, kind of like drafting, if you can be used as a warrior during the wartime, then you would be identified as a useful member, probably in bookkeeping of kind of ancient census, beyond how many households out there that can produce crops. Also, how many able-bodied young men that can fight for this regime. So this originally simply means whoever are military capable, qualified, then that's a concept of me or I. And then that paired with the best qualities humans can offer, that becomes moral. And it makes sense, right? It's kind of storytelling from the ruler's point of view. You want to offer yourself almost like a sacrifice for the community, for beyond your own household and family, for your whole tribe. So that's considered moral. Business is a little bit complicated. Okay. Basically, three parts. The left part is kind of looking like this. The earlier version of that is also a weaponry in wartime. In today, it was simplified as mao, like this, and that's spear. So something you can stay a little bit distance from your opponent, from the enemy, but you can poke at them, something like that. I guess it's ancient, often used weaponry. The bottom is plow shape. You can see this pointed edges over there as a farm tool. So you have the war weaponry and you have peacetime farming tool. Both are most, I guess, the symbols for the tool using for two purposes. One is defensive, I guess, Department of Defense, and then Department of Agriculture. The two major functions from the ruler's point of view. Yeah. And then the top is three-finger hand symbol holding supposedly an oracle or a divine decoder thing that you're supposed to be able to read the intention or to predict the future. And eventually that fortune-telling tool was generalized into all kinds of tools. So the top right corner would be tool making. No, tool using. So humans, their power amplified by tools. And these are the two tools we're talking about. One is a war tool, one is farming tool. So these three combined together make into today's concept of business, because these are serious business, like essential functions in a society that to be able to defend, to fight, to keep the regime or the ruler or the dynasty or keep the kingdom intact, or to keep the people in the kingdom to be fed, like food security, right? So that's the two functions and amplified by using these two. So all three together make the sense of business. And what is a moral business? When the two pair together, it becomes obligation. And for obligation, it's almost like you come into agreement of something, and it's kind of a transactional relationship. It's a give and a take. You were rewarded by something, by obligation. You guarantee you have to deliver something for the other party, and that becomes obligation. So even if here it's those characters from the ancient, I guess, kingdom making or kingdom sustaining two functions and kind of higher calling than just individual living and sustaining your own household or your bloodline. This is from the ruling, keeping the whole kingdom or tribe survival for that. Then in today's context, it become generalized into not just from the ruler and the ruled, but from any two parties that you have this transaction. So here, this young man covered by obligations, probably because as an employee, got a salary or something, and then he has to deliver. He has the obligations to do, and it's kind of overwhelming. But it originally came from this moral sense, and to fulfill what you're supposed to do. And it meant business is a serious business. Thank you for your time. See you another day.